Welcome to the Get Published podcast, sponsored by Brodie Consulting Group. To get more information about our coaching, publishing, executive ghostwriting, and podcast production services, go to getpublishedpodcast.com. Hello, I am Paul Brodie, and thank you for joining us for another episode of the Get Published podcast, where we help authors get published with a proven system that works. Today, we're being joined by Dakota Shane, who is currently writing a book on content marketing, social media marketing. Dakota, welcome to the show.
Paul, thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
Are you ready to get started?
Ready.
All right, question number one. What is the one piece of advice that you would give to a first-time author who is currently writing their book?
I would say the number one piece of advice is to make relationships now, if not yesterday. Just with the way things are going now, where publishers are increasingly relying on the author to already have an audience, to have a network, to even grab the deal in the first place, but to promote it and market it and everything. It's crucial that you start making these relationships now, whether that's with your readers through a blog post or a column or something, with influencers in your space that are relevant and could potentially promote your book going forward, with podcast hosts, like you name it, with speaking engagements. Because just from experience being a columnist for Inc. magazine and beyond, there's nothing more inauthentic than someone reaching out to you that you never hear from saying, promote my book. You know, they'll be buddy with you as soon as their book is coming out, and then they're ghost. And it makes sense for busy people, but to really build up that authenticity, I always recommend to build relationships now. Relationships are everything in business. So, and this sounds kind of robotic, but it's worked for me and everything these past years is if you have to, if you can't think of it in your head, make an Excel sheet. I actually have an Excel sheet of key figures, key people that I want to keep in contact with because I'm so forgetful. And so every 4 to 6 months, I'll just reach out via email or text or Facebook, whatever have you, and just talk to them, have a genuine conversation. Don't ask for anything, add value, see where you can add value in exchange. But I just think it's crucial because when you launch that book, like you'll need influencers to help you. You'll need to be on podcasts. You'll need this. And to have an already formed relationship will just make it much more seamless.
Yeah, my newest best friend has been the Google Doc. My VP of Customer Relations hired her a couple weeks ago, and she has gone spreadsheet galore on everything. And it's so great, though, because you get to see the big picture with influencers, people you've talked with, even guests on the show, where you get to see everything very clear. And instead of going back on your notes, you've got it there on a Google Doc where you can access that anywhere in the world, as long as you got a phone, tablet, or laptop.
I love that. Yeah, definitely.
Well, what do you feel is the hardest part about getting published so far?
I would say the biggest for me was finding an agent and finding a winning idea. You know, you always hear you get like J.K. Rowling got how many rejections, like you have to cycle through X amount of agents to even get noticed. And that was the same experience for me. I sent my pitch out to close to 30 agents, and all of them but 3 either ghosted me or didn't respond or said no politely and everything. And the one that I thought I would never get, which is Jeff Herman, was actually the one that ended up going with my book. So I was really happy. I thought it was the Reach in the Clouds one just because he's worked with Jack Canfield and had some best-selling books himself. I didn't think he would just after that rejection. And I think the hardest part is just getting noticed and getting that yes. And you got to have the thick skin to cut through the noise. And as I alluded to earlier, nowadays it's almost like you have to have the audience built in before you're even considered for a book. You know, like it's not, the days are not, I wouldn't say over, but to minimize risk, these publishing houses are really relying on you to sell the book and do numbers. So they want to see people with social media audiences and all that. So it just makes it more competitive. But definitely getting to that yes is the hardest part. And I experimented with various email subject lines. Just being the marketer I am, I A/B tested that. I went long form. I had examples in my pitch to my most read articles online just to have social proofing and everything. But that's definitely the hardest part.
Well, let me ask you, in the process of finding a book agent, so what was your process with that? Because I remember you said you reached out to a lot of them. What was your process to do that?
So I actually, going back to the Excel sheet, I always have my Excel sheets or Google Sheets. Actually, I'm a Google nerd, but I just went through, and I believe it was what's the website? Not Writer's Digest. I can't think of it right now, but there's a list of agents there. And so what I did, instead of, I had a mixed bag. I had, of course, the big dogs that I just went through and typed in Google top nonfiction, because my book is about nonfiction agents. And I, of course, went down that list of about 10. But then at the bottom of the barrel, I had another list of 10 where I didn't contact the agent themselves. I actually contacted the assistants, the people who will more or less have a chip on their shoulder and trying to like impress their higher ups and everything. I mean, it didn't work too well because I got rejected by those ones, all but one. But so I went through and just sifted through, did a lot of legwork, the research component. And I also am fortunate to have some friends who have published books and everything. So they gave me their list as well of just like 4 to 5 people to reach out to. But it was a lot of grunt work.
So the main thing that worked was getting the referrals from your friends or people that you knew, right?
Well, those didn't even end up saying yes.
Oh, no.
the ones that, yeah, the one that said the two, well, one of them was the assistant who wanted to learn more, and then the other 2 were just the ones from Google. Like Jeff Furman is the one who, like, if you type in business book agent, he's usually like first or second or third. So I just went down that list, went through the pages and see if they took unsolicited pitches and all that stuff. So it was, a lot of grunt work, a lot of testing. I'm sure other tactics work better for other authors, but for me, it was just going through and sending out that email.
So after you found the agents, what did you do from that point? Did you send them a really quick message, almost like a elevator pitch, or what was your approach once you targeted the people that you wanted to reach out to?
I did. So I love canned responses. It's a function in Gmail where you can type it in Google and it'll show you how to set it up. But it's basically just preloading templates, and you just click a button and it goes right to it and has all the links and everything. So that's exactly what I did. I had an elevator pitch email, and within it, it had a little bite-sized piece of what the book was. And for me, what worked was the book is based on a Medium article I wrote a while back that went viral. So I had a link to that just to show social proofing and show that the idea had legs and people were commenting on it. So I had the pitch itself, the link to the previously published article, as well as 2 to 3 little blurbs from the comments of people who are saying, oh, I love this idea, like this helped me do XYZ and everything, just to show it. But it ended up being around a three paragraph email that had that, that way it's all in one place. Agents are busy. I want to make sure that there's social proofing, the idea is there, and why, like just standing out. So that's what worked for me.
And the blog on Medium, that was about content marketing?
That was the 7 mindset shifts. The article is called The 7 Mindset Shifts Needed for Successful Social Media Marketing. And it just goes through and lists out, just because having an agency, I was noticing that a lot of people, especially small business owners who may not have the resources or growing up with the internet, like a lot of people have, there's a disconnect with traditional marketing and social media marketing, such as return on investment. People think that you put in $5 to a Facebook ad and you're supposed to get 10 back right away, when actually social media is more like a cocktail party where you network and you build relationships than it is a sales pitch. So I went through and just listed out 7 big mindset shifts that I noticed my clients were having an issue with, and first tested it with my clients, a little pamphlet. They loved it. I wrote it on Medium. It went viral as a Medium article can go. It's still a very communal platform and everything. And then we took that and actually made a ebook little like pamphlet out of it, and that was downloaded over 1,000 times and everything. So just having all those like as proof and everything, both to the agent and myself, really helped.
Perfect. And of course, that's going to transition into our next question, which I think you've probably already answered most of it, but that is about marketing, which you have very successfully done. And that is to please share a marketing strategy that you plan on using in this book launch that you feel is going to work well.
Awesome. So I guess for the book launch itself, something that we're really fortunate to have was, and I'm not some marketing genius that thought of this down the road. I didn't even know that this would be a book 6 months ago, but what we have now through MailChimp and through just analytics platform is everyone who downloaded that email grabber. So to backtrack, we took the article, and because it did so well on Medium, we made a really nice ebook out of it. Good design, and kind of expanded upon it a little bit, and had that as our email grabber on our website. So what we had was all the analytics, the data, the demographics, the age distribution, the gender distribution, all that data on people who already downloaded the email grabber. So what we're doing now is we're testing and using those analytics to run Facebook ads, to run Instagram ads, to do this, to reach out to this audience, so that's something that if you can do that about 6 months out, kind of make a little teaser email grabber on it and drive people to it, whether through blog content, whether through paid ads, any way that you can have, like, these people are interested in this topic, and then have that data and the analytics on there, which is available like through platforms like MailChimp, through like WordPress, all those sites and everything. It'll help a lot just knowing who your audience is, because you'd be surprised, or not all the time, but I was definitely surprised at the audience distribution. I thought it would be all people like over like from like 50 onward and everything, and ended up being a lot of startup founders and everything who don't have time to think about marketing or social media. So that's the number one tactic that I would say going prior to the book launch. Definitely just using the social media platforms as a tool to test to see which ideas work best, which have traction. That could be through Twitter to see if someone really, like, one of your tweets went viral, using Medium as a platform to test ideas, a blog, all that stuff, just to minimize risk.
So this guide, that was similar to the ebook pamphlet that you were talking about in the previous question, right?
Yeah, it's actually the same one. It's we're working on another one soon, but that's been ours for about 1.5 years now.
Well, I like what you did with that too. You utilized that on your site, so you're driving traffic from social media, from the Medium post that you did that went viral, taking the traffic there, and then getting them out into the landing page, email grabber, which actually I think I like email grabber better. See, I'm mumbling my words here, but email grabber and utilizing that as that landing page. That's a great point, because you already get to build your list, and most importantly, when you use MailChimp or when you use Drip or Infusionsoft, of course, I affectionately call that Confusionsoft with all the amount of work that goes on with that particular area. But yeah, you're able to find your demographics, and you can tailor your content more towards that audience.
Exactly. And the light bulb lit off, like, when I figured that out. I didn't think of this years in advance or anything, but it clicked when I was writing the book proposal. I'm like, oh wow, I have these analytics here and everything, and it's the same exact topic. So I've recommended that to anyone that's willing to listen to do that, because it'll definitely take care of the heavy lifting and definitely cut down budget spent on testing, because with social media ads, a lot of times you have no idea. You have a ballpark, but a lot of times you spend a lot of that budget just seeing which audience will even engage with the content. So it kind of takes the legwork out of that.
Now, you mentioned this was mainly organic traffic, but I believe you also mentioned about using paid advertising. Is that correct?
We dabbled a little bit with paid ads, like just as I'm writing the book now, to test to see like, okay, are these which of these demographics engage most with similar content? So we're using our Facebook to use those audience insights that I mentioned from the email grabber, applying it to Facebook and sending out my other articles on Inc. and everything just to see, okay, is this legit? And so far it's been spot on. We've seen great engagement, but to drive traffic to the email grabber itself, we use almost exclusively organic, just because I was fortunate enough to get on Medium early and be kind of a early adopter of that. So I'll just publish Medium posts and have the call to action be download this little pamphlet, and that's kind of how we've built our list out.
And then you mentioned with the paid advertising, it sounds like that was more used to boost posts. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Got it. Yeah, it's definitely a mixture, but yeah, the more organic traffic you can get, the better, because most importantly, it doesn't cost anything. It just costs time to get everything set up correctly to ensure that it works.
Exactly.
Well, let's talk about your favorite book. So, what is your favorite book, and what was the number one thing that you learned from it?
So it was hard for me to pick. Like I read all different types of genres and everything. But for nonfiction, I really fell in love with School of Greatness by Lewis Howes. And the main thing that I learned from that, like kind of a light bulb that really, not to be corny, but changed my life and the trajectory of everything, was just clarifying my vision that I had. So what the book did, I believe it's chapter 2 or 3, one of the earlier chapters, but he goes through how to clarify a vision. For example, for me, I always thought I only wanted to be an author. That was it. Like, since I've been in third grade, I've at every career fair, it's like, I want to be an author. I want to be a fiction author. I want to be this. I want to be that. And when I really distilled down from this book, clarifying my vision, was, it's not that I wanted to write necessarily. It's that I wanted to be heard and wanted to create emotions in people, wanted to help people and teach and everything. So for me now, I apply that to my column on Inc. I apply it to my company to help people, like my voice be heard that way. I use it when I have speaking engagements at conferences and everything. So that's definitely something that I learned, was just clarifying the vision, because a lot of times you get tunnel vision, right? That, oh, I have to be this, I have to be that. And then just taking a step back and realizing what about that goal or dream is what drives me. And there can be a million different ways to attain that and get that along the way that you might have forgotten. So that's definitely the one that sticks out the most for me.
And for a final question, what is your favorite quote and why?
I would say by John D. Rockefeller, actually, of all people, don't be afraid to give up the good to go for the great. And basically, it's just all comes down to sacrifice. For me, it was downsizing. I was living in the Bay Area with my own apartment and everything after college, and starting this business on the side with my startup and everything. And I had to take a good hard look and be like, if I want to build this company up, I have to downsize. I have to move to a cheaper area. I have to apply those savings to build this business out. And I've been down in like close to the San Fernando Valley now, a little north of LA since then. And it's by leaps and bounds, the business has grown. I've had more time to spend on writing and everything. So don't be afraid to give up the good. It's just to go for the great. It's all about sacrifice, and I'm a sucker for that. It's my screensaver on my phone, actually.
I love that. One of the things I always tell my clients, do not be afraid to take the plunge.
I love that.
Well, Dakota, I want to thank you for being a guest on the show. What is the best way for people to find you online?
I would say the best way is through Inc. magazine. You can just type in Dakota Shane Inc. and my column will be there. As for my company, you can check out www.copybuffs.com. That's COPYBUFFS.com. And we're really excited about that. We're putting out some really helpful content for freelance writers, for copywriters, for ghostwriters on a regular basis, and trying to build that community out. So those are the email newsletter and Inc. magazine are the best ways to find me.
Dakota, I want to thank you once again for being a guest on the show, and I wish you all the best in your author journey ahead.
Thanks, Paul. Appreciate it.
Thanks again for joining us today. To learn more about how you can be featured in our brand new Get Published business book, go to getpublishedpodcast.com.